Chapter 3: Fireflies and Friction. The Bellbridge Summer Festival was an assault on the senses, a chaotic symphony of twinkling fairy lights strung through ancient oaks, the overlapping aromas of fried dough, sugary funnel cake and something vaguely floral, and the twangy off-key strains of a bluegrass band butchering a classic country song. Usually, I thrived in this kind of environment. The energy, the crowds, the endless possibilities for entertainment. Tonight, though, I felt strangely disconnected, like a ghost haunting a party I wasn't invited to. I was supposed to be here with Zeph, Leander, Orpheus, Eros and a few other Phi Delt brothers, doing the whole scouting the talent routine, laying the groundwork for fall rush. Zeph, predictably, was in his element, beer in hand, already working his slimy charm on a group of giggling freshmen. Leander was laughing at something, his booming voice cutting through the general din. Orpheus, bless his artistic soul, was sketching the scene, seemingly oblivious to everything except the play of light and shadow. Eros was probably already halfway to getting someone's number. But I couldn't focus. My mind, my body, my entire being was fixated on one thing: finding her, finding Daphne. The image of her, struggling with that wheelbarrow, had burned itself into my brain. The way the sunlight had caught the sweat on her skin, the determined set of her jaw, the wild tangle of her dark curls. It was a goddamn Renaissance painting, and I was obsessed. I'd spent the last 2 days trying to convince myself it was just a fleeting attraction, a momentary lapse in my usual carefully cultivated detachment. But the dreams, the vivid, intensely erotic dreams, told a different story. Then I saw her. She was standing near a pottery booth, bathed in the warm glow of the fairy lights, wearing a simple blue sundress that somehow managed to be both innocent and incredibly sexy. The thin straps bared her shoulders, revealing smooth tanned skin and a delicate scattering of freckles. The fabric clung to her curves in a way that made my mouth water and my hands itch to touch. Distraction located, I murmured to myself, a predatory grin spreading across my face. I started towards her, weaving through the crowd, my eyes locked on her like a heat-seeking missile. The closer I got, the more details I noticed. The elegant line of her neck, the way a few stray curls brushed against her skin, the small silver earrings dangling from her ears. I inhaled deeply, catching her scent, that intoxicating mix of earth, flowers, and something uniquely her, something sweet and warm like vanilla and sunshine. I reached out to tap her on the shoulder, but at that exact moment, she turned, colliding with me. "Oh, I'm so sorry," she gasped, her cheeks flushing that gorgeous shade of pink. Her eyes, an incredible, unforgettable green gold, met mine, and for a moment the noise and chaos of the festival faded away. It was just us, caught in a bubble of intense, undeniable attraction. "My fault," I said, my voice rougher than I intended. My hands were on her waist, steadying her. My fingers splayed across the bare skin above her dress. Her skin was warm, incredibly soft, and I could feel the subtle tremor that ran through her. I should have watched where I was going. I was distracted by you, I didn't add. I didn't see you," she stammered, her gaze flickering from my eyes to my mouth and back again. I could practically see the awareness, the attraction, warring with her wariness. I leaned closer, my voice dropping to a low murmur. "I've been looking for you." Her breath hitched, her lips parted slightly. God, she was beautiful. I wanted to kiss her right there in front of everyone. Then the spell broke. Some idiot teenagers bumped into us and she stepped back, breaking the contact. The loss of her touch was a physical ache. I should go," she said, looking around nervously. "Don't," I said, reaching for her wrist, my fingers gently circling the delicate bones. "Stay, talk to me, just a few minutes." Her eyes met mine again and I saw a flicker of something, reluctance, yes, but also, maybe, desire. Then of course, Riv had to show up, all protective and suspicious. Daphne pulled away and the moment was gone. "Looks like you struck out, Reyes," Zeph said, appearing at my shoulder, his voice dripping with smug satisfaction. "Not even close," I replied, a slow smile spreading across my face. This was a challenge, a game I was determined to win. I spotted her again, a few minutes later, at the jewelry booth. An opening. "Hey," I said, approaching her casually, as if our previous encounter hadn't been charged with enough electricity to power the entire festival. "Checking out the local crafts?" She looked up, startled, and a flicker of something crossed her face. Recognition, annoyance, maybe a hint of excitement. "Just looking," she said, her voice carefully neutral. "See anything you like?" I asked, glancing at the display. I noticed a pair of silver earrings intricately crafted in the shape of intertwined thorns and leaves. They were beautiful, delicate, and a little bit dangerous, just like her. "Those are nice," she said, her gaze following mine. "They'd look amazing on you," I said, turning to the artist, we'll take them. No, Daphne began to protest, but I'd already pulled out my wallet. My treat, I said, handing the artist the money. A peace offering. For, almost knocking you over. And for being so goddamn captivating that I can't think straight, I added silently. She hesitated, then a small smile touched her lips. Thank you, she said, accepting the small red velvet box. I helped her put them on, my fingers brushing against her skin, sending another jolt of awareness through both of us. Perfect, I said, my voice a little husky. So, I continued, stepping back, giving her some space, maybe you could take a break from admiring pottery, walk with me, get some of that ridiculously overpriced yet delicious fair food. I gestured towards the food stalls. She looked at me, her expression unreadable. I'm actually helping a friend out, she said, gesturing towards a nearby booth with several pieces on display. She made all the pottery. I'm watching the booth for a bit. I said, an artist helping an artist, I can dig it. I paused, then added with a deliberate nonchalance, well, how long are you stuck here for? Maybe I can help. She looked surprised and a slow smile spread across her face. You do that? Sure, I said, shrugging. Why not? It beats watching Zeph try to pick up college freshmen. I jerked my head towards Zeph, who was indeed engaged in what looked like a very one-sided conversation with a group of giggling girls. Daphne laughed, a genuine musical sound that made something inside me loosen, relax. Okay, she said, but you're on funnel cake duty, and you have to promise not to scare away any potential customers. Deal, I said, grinning. I'll be the most charming, least intimidating booth assistant you've ever seen. I held out my hand, a silent invitation to join the business. As she took it and we started, I knew this was going to be interesting. Very interesting. And Zeph for once could just watch from the sidelines. This was my game now. Daphne, surprisingly, was a natural salesperson. She had this quiet, unassuming way of talking about her friend's pottery, describing the process, the inspiration, the unique qualities of each piece, that was captivating. It wasn't a sales pitch, it was a story, an invitation to appreciate the artistry and effort that went into each creation. And people responded. I watched, fascinated, as she charmed a skeptical-looking older woman into buying a ridiculously expensive vase, convinced a young couple that a set of mismatched mugs was the perfect wedding gift, and even managed to sell a small, oddly shaped bowl to a teenage boy who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. My role as booth assistant mostly involved smiling reassuringly, carrying heavy objects, and making change. I was surprisingly okay with it. It gave me an excuse to be near Daphne, to observe her, to steal glances at her when she wasn't looking. I watched the way her eyes lit up when she talked about art, the way her hands moved expressively, the way she unconsciously chewed on her lower lip when she was concentrating. I learned that her friend's name was Willow, that Daphne preferred working with metal and wood to clay, and that she had a surprisingly dry, sarcastic sense of humor. So, I said during a lull in customers, leaning against the edge of the booth close enough to catch her scent, that intoxicating mix of vanilla, sunshine, and something earthy that I was starting to associate solely with her. Botanical Sherpa and art enthusiast, you're full of surprises, Reyes. She gave me a sideways glance, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. And you're full of something, she said, letting the sentence trail off. Confidence, charm, irresistible good looks, I offered, grinning. She laughed, a genuine musical sound that sent a warmth spreading through my chest. Try again. Okay, I conceded. How about a genuine appreciation for art, and a willingness to help a beautiful woman in need? Her cheeks flushed a delicate pink, and she looked away, busying herself with rearranging a display of ceramic birds. You're incorrigible, she murmured, but there was no real heat in her voice. So I've been told, I said, undeterred. But seriously, I do appreciate art. Orpheus, the guy sketching over there, he's got the real talent in our house, but I can appreciate the dedication it takes, the passion. I paused, then added more seriously, my grandmother was a painter, taught me to see the beauty in unexpected places. Daphne looked at me, her expression softening. That's actually really sweet, she said, a hint of surprise in her voice. Don't tell anyone, I said, winking, it'll ruin my reputation. We shared a smile, a genuine, unforced connection that sent a jolt of something warm and unfamiliar through me. It wasn't just lust, though that was definitely present, a throbbing undercurrent to every interaction. It was something more, a respect, an admiration, a genuine interest. So, I said, breaking the silence, tell me about your art. What kind of magic do you create? Her eyes lit up and she started to talk, her voice animated, her hands gesturing expressively. She described her sculpture, the vision she had for it, the struggles she was facing. I listened, captivated, not just by her words but by the passion that radiated from her, the way her entire being seemed to come alive when she talked about her art. It was inspiring. "Sounds ambitious," I said when she finally paused for breath, "but amazing. I'd like to see it sometime." She hesitated, a flicker of doubt crossing her face. "It's not exactly ready for viewing," she said. "It's kind of a mess." "I like messes," I said, my voice low, my gaze meeting hers. "They're real." The air between us crackled with that familiar tension, that undeniable pull. I could see the internal battle raging in her eyes, the desire, the wariness, the ingrained independence that made her so damn intriguing. Before she could answer, Zeph appeared, his presence like a dark cloud blocking the sun. "Reyes," he said, his voice dripping with disdain, "we're heading to O'Malley's. You coming, or are you going to spend all night drooling over the pottery?" "I'm busy, Zeph," I said, my voice tight. He switched his attention to Daphne. "How about you, princess, you want to come?" He flashed a practiced smile. Daphne shook her head, lifted her chin and replied, "I'm good," hitting him back with her own lovely smile. Zeph smirked, his gaze flicking over Daphne in a way that made my blood boil. "Suit yourself." He sauntered off, whistling. I turned back to Daphne, feeling a surge of anger and something else, protectiveness. "Ignore him," I said, my voice rough. "He's an ass." Daphne gave a small, tight smile. I gathered that. She paused, then added, "Thank you for earlier and for helping out here." "No problem," I said, shrugging, trying to appear casual despite the way my heart was hammering against my ribs. "Like I said, I appreciate art and artists." I held her gaze, letting the unspoken meaning hang in the air between us. A slow blush crept up her neck and across her cheeks. She looked away, fiddling with the edge of one of the ceramic bowls. "Well," she said, her voice a little breathless, "I should probably get back to it." "Right," I said, feeling a pang of disappointment. I didn't want this to end, but maybe later we could, I don't know, get that funnel cake. I gestured vaguely towards the food stalls. She hesitated, then to my surprise she nodded. "Maybe," she said, a hint of a smile playing on her lips, "if you promise not to scare away all my customers." "I promise," I said, grinning. "I'll be on my best behavior." As she turned back to her booth, I knew one thing. This was far from over. The fire was burning and I had no intention of letting it die out. Zeph could have his shallow conquests. I wanted something real, and I was going to get it. I was going to get her.